Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Trizzy.
I'm Leah.
What's good, everybody?
Hello, welcome back. And this is a cool episode today. First of all, still celebrating AAPI Heritage Month with our very own episode that Trizzy is leading today about
Hong Kong, 7-hour layover itinerary.
This is a super cool one because it's very, very specific, destination specific.
Yeah. And I went and did it with $30 in my pocket.
Yeah. So great for all you budget travelers out there, a really important one, because we always try to avoid pulling out of the ATM for a short amount of time if we can, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because, the ATM issue is it's taking time out of your day as well. So that 3 minutes could be spent elsewhere.
Well, that, but where were you on the way to? Actually, this is good because if you weren't using the currency afterwards, and this is important.
I was going to Thailand and I was going to the Philippines. So I had to save money for the baht and I had to save money for the pesos.
Yep. And you weren't going to use
also Taiwan. Sorry. We went to Taiwan as well.
So yeah, you wouldn't be using the same currency. So why would you want to pull out hundreds of dollars anyway?
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
I was like, if we're going to spend 7 hours, like unless you're a big baller and just like really buy a whole bunch of dim sum, then you can spend $100. But for me, for us, we really wanted to, budget that end of it.
Love it. Very cool.
But yeah, in this episode, you get to hear, my 7-hour itinerary, the budgeting side, a little history of the island that I went to. So yeah, hopefully this inspires you guys to put that on your list when everything is okay with Hong Kong.
And when you have a layover, because this is what you did, it was a 7-hour layover. So it's perfect.
I loved it. And I brought back some tea because we did a tea ceremony there. Actually, I drank that a while ago, but I do have like another Hong Kong tea that I am sipping on today, gifted by my mom. So it's just a simple jasmine tea, nothing too fancy schmancy, but it is out of a flower. It's a flower tea, and I love those.
All right. Move the cup in front of your face because, I'm like, girl, it's a white screen, white background. Beautiful.
It's in here somewhere.
Flower tea. Okay.
Yes.
And I am not drinking Hong Kong coffee. I'm your classic Leah, actually still drinking my Elite coffee from Waikiki Beach, Honolulu, Oahu, Hawaii. And my creamer it's Califia Farms, but like cinnamon roll, almond milk creamer. Yeah, very homemade as we do. I always use a mocha pot to pull my espresso. So in case anyone's wondering, that's what it is.
If it ain't oatmeal, it's cinnamon.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for this episode, and I think everyone listening will be too. So cheers to that.
Happy AAPI Heritage Month, y'all.
Yes. Cheers.
It's Trizzy and Leah, your hosts for the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. We each travel a different way and even have different work schedules. But every episode, we aim to widen your worldview, inspire you to consider a destination near or far, or learn from others. With us, you can adventure from anywhere.
Keep in touch with us on social media at Ticket2 Anywhere Podcast. Remember to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Never miss an episode by subscribing to Ticket 2 Anywhere Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Pocket Casts. And hit subscribe to follow our visual podcasts on YouTube to keep up to date on our channel.
If you find value and enjoy our episodes and special guests, please rate us and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to us and helps others find us easier. You can also leave comments or reviews on our YouTube channel or Facebook page. Be sure to search for Ticket 2 Anywhere Podcast.
And if you'd like to support us by monetary means, you can do so by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Ticket 2 Anywhere. So when I was looking for flights to Bali, there were a lot of long layovers, and a lot of them are in obviously big cities in Asia. But I'm like,
what do I do on like a 16-hour, 10-hour layover in like Singapore or Hong Kong? And I knew one person that knew it. And as you, my co-hustler, which is why we are here today to talk about.
We're going to talk about my 7-hour layover that I had in Hong Kong. Went from LAX to Chiang Mai, had a layover in Hong Kong, 7 hours. And at first I was like, man, is that enough? I felt like that was a tease. You know, it was like, it's not long enough, but it's not short enough to do anything. But I found an island nearby the airport that was only 10 minutes away, taxi. And it's one of the landmarks of Big Buddha, which is the Chianti Buddha. And I looked it up, put a 7-hour itinerary together, and it was the perfect itinerary, the perfect guide. So hopefully this will help you guys, because I had a lot of fun off of about $30 USD for 7 hours.
For 7 hours, 30 US for wait, this is like the ultimate budgeter layover episode right here. So if you're still listening, you better keep listening in.
Yes, but there is a pre-trip cost too.
Wait, $30 is the pre-trip cost as well?
No, $30 is the on-land
cost.
There's an additional $33, so a total of about, let's say, $65.
Oh my gosh, for a layover?
Yeah,
this sounds incredible. Okay, so what are the resources that you use to do research on this island? Like, did you any specific blogs, YouTube channels, videos, like anyone you could recommend or point out, or was it just like a scramble of whoever or whatever you could find?
it was definitely a scramble, but mainly TripAdvisor. That's
okay.
I always end up going to and trusting the sources. Yeah, TripAdvisor is probably the best. The only time that I used YouTube was to see the visual of the Buddha and to see what's going on in Hong Kong, like the riots.
Yeah.
Like updated news and things like that. Because there were, at the airport, we saw, you know, like cops really like blocking off some certain parts of it. And they had like these guardrails, wearing all black, kind of like scary, but harmless, I'm sure.
Okay, that's good to know. You put a lot of trust in TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is usually my last resort.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like, I mean, TripAdvisor review sites in general are just a lot of people bitching, to be honest.
That's true.
So I do a lot of blogs when I research, blogs, listicles, and then TripAdvisor will be my like cross-reference.
So during the time that we went, it was November 2019. That was the last trip before the pandemic hit. And it was like one of 4 countries that I hit during that 2 weeks.
Oh gosh.
So
this notorious trip.
For sure, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It was amazing. You're probably wondering why, or probably wondering if I went into the city in Hong Kong. No, I didn't, because because of the 7-hour layover, it would have taken me 40 minutes to get into the city via taxi, or about an hour via public transportation. And at that time, there was a riot going on. So we try to stay away from the city. And if you guys don't know, the riot was basically off of, because Hong Kong used to be under the British colonization, and then ended in 97 or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So China was just basically trying to take away the freedom. Hong Kong wasn't having it. They're just like, nothing's broke, don't try and fix it. So they're rioting, and so we stayed clear from that. But luckily, Lantau Island was there. Big Buddha was waiting for us. There was the Poland Monastery, and there was the infamous 360 crystal glass cable car. So that cost was a pre-trip cost that you could buy online prior to arriving.
Nice.
It was $33 round trip, and that includes one way where you sit on basically like a cable car, and the floor is glass, so you see glass on all sides. That's why they call it the 360. It's about a 20 to 30 minute ride from the station, the Nongping station, to Lantau Island. And it was amazing.
Direct access from the airport to the island? Like, how is that?
Take a taxi, a 10-minute taxi to where Nongping is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that taxi was only $6 for us.
Okay. Wow. That's
Mm-hmm.
inexpensive. Okay.
For
Love
sure.
that.
Yeah. And
So
that station in particular is called the Nongping Tung Chung Station.
okay.
Yeah.
So when you get to the city on the other side of the cable car, what do you do?
Oh,
Just
it's like
turn.
it's a whole village itself. There's food that you could
Okay.
eat from small vendors to bigger restaurants. There's a tea house that we went to and we got to see a tea ceremony there.
Very
And
cool.
you're hiking to see Buddha and
Oh.
it's about 268 steps. I loved it. I love my steps.
Yes. And your incline.
Yes, and my incline. So there's also a monastery as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so lots of things to do, and it's somewhat modernized because I saw a Subway there, like
Oh, of
Subway Eat
course.
Fresh.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's an amazing smaller vendor where we had like a dessert. It's a bean curd dessert. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had to try out the dim sum, which is a little bit more on the expensive end, but that allowed credit card, so that we used
Okay.
our credit card in.
That's
The
good.
tea house as well, we used our credit card, but there's
So
a
good.
minimum. I don't know if things has changed, but you get to sit in for a free tea ceremony, try a little sample of the tea that they had,
Mhm.
or just order. So we ordered ours and then we watched the tea ceremony as well.
Oh,
Awesome.
very cool.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. This whole
Yeah.
layover was amazing. Yeah, so a little bit about the Chianti Buddha. It is, in I want to say in simpler words, a lot of people call it the Big Buddha. Every time you see a Big Buddha, people call it a Big Buddha.
It could be like a slightly larger than small one, and they'll still call it a big,
Yeah,
the big
for
Buddha.
sure. So it was completed back in 1993. Apparently, it took only 3 years to make, and I saw photos online about the process of it. And I was like, damn, this took only 3 years, which is
Yeah,
crazy because I would
sounds
feel
short.
like it would take a long, long time.
Mhm.
But once you get up there, you'll see that it's surrounded by 6 other statues. And they're holding like offerings in their hand. And each of these offerings, they symbolize morality, patience, zeal, meditation, generosity, and wisdom. I was like, this is cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Big Buddha itself, Chianti Buddha, symbolizes the harmony between man or woman and nature and people and faith.
Okay.
So there's a little history.
Yeah, I love that. People want to know what they're going to see, and it's always helpful to have that background before you go. So
For sure.
was it really like crowded when you went?
We got there super early.
Of course, as Trizzy does. If y'all don't know her, she don't like crowds.
Because the layover worked out perfectly.
Oh, that's
I think
good.
we landed like around 7:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, perfect.
Yeah, got to the airport or got out of the airport maybe like around like 8:30. And then got to the like past the cable cars, got to Nongping village maybe like around like 9:30. And although to me that seems late, but it was perfectly not crowded, and I think it was because of the riots at that time.
Okay.
A lot of people were avoiding just going into Hong Kong itself.
Yep.
And close by, once you get to the top of the Chianti Buddha and you check out the views, you see a monastery close by. I just walked back down the stairs. It is beautiful, so vibrant, so historic, very ancient. It's like a modern ancient feel. And you'll see a lot of like incense burning and things like that. And I did my little prayer thing, which is funny because in LA, I don't visit temples as often. So
yep.
like pray, it's always praying in like different foreign temples, which is cool.
Yes, very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. And that's basically it. So once you're done with all that, you eat, you drink, you relax a little bit. That's about like a good 7 hours. And then you head back to the airport, find a taxi, or you jump back into your cable car, go down. And voila, you're
And 7 hours, this is like 7 hours without feeling rushed and
Mhm.
see,
Yeah,
relaxing,
yeah,
but while
exactly.
still sightseeing.
I will say that the taxi driver going back to the airport got us lost. So there was
Oh
a bit of a frantic moment.
my
I don't know
gosh.
why, but I told him our flight, which was Cathay Pacific.
Yeah.
Then he typed it in, but he didn't, he typed in the headquarters.
I mean,
Luckily,
honest
headquarters is
mistake,
next to
no.
it. But luckily the headquarters was close to the airport. And
Oh,
so
it is.
yeah. And
That's
then the
good.
remaining money that we had was just like hitting. So it, because he got lost,
Oh,
the charge was a little bit more, but I told him, I was like, yo, you got us lost. Like, is this,
yeah.
which was only like what, $3 off or something, 3 Hong Kong dollars off.
But you didn't know it was going to be that. It could have been 20 Hong Kong
Mhm.
dollars. Like, you don't know what it was going to be. Because
Exactly.
sometimes, normally, I feel like if they're lost or something stalled, they would stop
Mhm.
the meter and
For
then
sure.
restart it.
Exactly.
So,
And, Hong Kong, they obviously speak Chinese there.
yep.
When you go into China, that's when it's more Mandarin. But Hong Kong, luckily, was a little bit more heavier on the Cantonese, which is the dialect I speak.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I got to practice
And how
taxi
was it?
drivers. It was terrible.
Were they ever like, what?
No,
Did they ever
they were
have to be
nice about
like,
it. I think they understood because basically when I get into these conversations with older
they
Cantonese,
can tell,
yeah, they
right?
definitely could tell. And I let them know, like, I haven't spoken in a while because I live away from my parents. And they totally understand, but they just like keep talking. And I'm like, shoot, am I comprehending what they're
I
saying?
know, right? You got to. It's a fight or flight situation. You
Oh
have to
yeah.
like you
Mhm.
have to stand up and be like, okay, now I need to remember my Kento, right?
Yeah. Luckily I know my left and rights.
That's it. And stop the meter.
Yes, yes. Oh gosh.
Okay.
Just
So
felt
everywhere you went, I think people would want to know everywhere you went on like the island, like the etiquette as far as dress and noise and taking pictures, etc.
for sure. Yeah. So because it was quiet when we got to Nongping village,
Mhm.
I just really saw everybody just minding their own business.
Mhm.
I know when you're thinking of going to like a monastery or a temple or to visit Buddha, you feel as though you need to be covered up. But
Mhm.
I saw people in tank tops, shoulder showing, short
Okay.
shorts. I don't think there was any
Dress
formal
code.
etiquette, but
Uh-huh.
honestly, just be quiet. Just pick up your trash,
Yeah.
make the place cleaner, and yeah, nothing too crazy. Say your
Nothing.
thank yous. A lot of people will mention that the Chinese culture is a little bit more aggressive. When
Mm-hmm.
you go into China or Hong Kong, Taiwan, everything's like super fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really feel that. I think because it was just the timing that I was there.
Okay.
It was, like I was on an island.
Yeah. Island
Island
time.
time.
You were on an island.
For sure. Yeah. But there were like the quiet moments. And then
Mm-hmm.
by the time we were leaving, I saw like a rush of people get off the cable cars.
Okay.
But still very quiet. The whole
Okay.
village had its own like peaceful, zenful music in the background.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
nothing too crazy.
Okay. What about like photography? I mean, not that I'd want to go photograph monks, but like how was that where,
They were
everywhere you
open.
went?
Yeah, I didn't get stopped. I did see that I was the only one with like my camera. I had my stabilizer in my hand.
Uh-huh.
People were looking at me out of curiosity, like, oh, what is that?
Okay.
But nothing that made me feel uncomfortable.
Okay. And no signs regarding
No
dress code
signs.
nor photography. Okay.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, before doing my research, I saw like drone footage, like all up in Buddha's face.
Oh, all
I
up
was
in
just like,
Buddha's
oh.
face.
Yeah. I was like, so they allow drones. It could be different now, but back then I
Yeah.
felt like everybody was just using everything in everywhere.
Sure. Okay. Have you, I mean, I wouldn't expect you to because this was, a few years ago, but have you done any research these days to see if these places are open or still there or like do you know what's going on now? Like,
I feel like the monastery might be closed
okay.
because obviously you can't like go inside, but
Mm-hmm.
Buddha is out in the open. I haven't done research about, or I haven't like come across anything official, but
Mhm.
I saw a question about like, is Poland monastery open? And I assume it was closed back in the day or
Yeah.
during the pandemic. But even I would say if you can't go up to Buddha or the monastery, the village itself is really like cute, you know, because you
Yeah.
have like that area of businesses, like big
Mhm.
businesses, and then you walk a little bit further, you'll find like a small house that just cooks out of the house, and they have like a
Oh,
backyard area, like very gritty, like the type of
yeah.
feel that you want for
Hole
that.
in the wall, local
Mhm.
type place. Yeah.
Exactly. They have food. That's the place where we got our bean curd at, but they also have like other
Mhm.
foods that you could try as well, like savory foods,
Okay.
dessert, like a whole bunch. Yeah. But we just had to limit because, you know, $30.
$30. Wait, were you trying to keep it at that budget, or is this all you had in cash?
This was actually all we had in cash. I didn't
Okay.
even think prior to it. Like I was doing so much research, but didn't even
Right.
think on the financial side.
You
But
did not think to,
yeah,
hey, you don't have a bank yet that, come on, I preach this.
we
You don't have a
do.
bank yet that no transaction fees and whatnot?
We do. We do have a bank
Okay.
that we could like get ATM and stuff like that.
But you were trying not to, right?
Exactly. So
Okay.
we bring like big bills to
Yeah.
exchange. So the only things we had were just like $100 bills.
Yeah.
And then luckily I had a random $20 bill. And for some reason in my drawers, I had another random Hong Kong dollar gift souvenir.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
think maybe my cousin might have just been like, here, you can have this. Happy birthday. But it only turns
Okay.
out to be like $10 or something.
Okay.
But I brought it and luckily that still worked. It was still the right currency. Like
Yeah. Okay.
so it was like my $20 plus that random gift that I had.
Okay. And I know you weren't looking for them, but I would assume there are ATMs around, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It's
If
like,
there's a Subway, there's the ATM.
to be honest, no, you know what? Like, and people don't know this about us, but like, I would do the same thing where I was like, I only have $30. Let's see if I can make this stretch
Mhm.
this 7 hours.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So for the time that you like got into the cable car, from the time that you like got back to the airport, like basically the non-transit times, like how long did you spend within that 7 hours? Because it obviously wasn't the full 7 hours,
Yeah,
right?
definitely not. It was a good like I want to say 5, maybe 4.5 hours.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
It gives
Very,
you
very.
time to get out of the airport and gives you time to get back in,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, had I done going into the city, it would
Mm,
work out that way. I would probably just have an hour or two in the city to eat and to
yeah.
do one touristy thing. But
And
luckily,
then some people would still count that as visiting
yeah.
the city.
Mhm.
It'd be like, yeah, I've been to Hong Kong, check.
Yeah.
No, that don't count.
Check that off. Yeah. But it was cool because with Lantau Island, you really get to experience the entire culture of it, the history
Mhm.
of it, because you know, Buddhism is big in Hong Kong and the monastery itself too. So it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. You learn
The
so much.
best of experiencing the culture
Mhm.
without having to like spend
Exactly.
days in the city, the country. Yeah.
For sure. You get the food,
Mhm.
try the teas out. Oh, and there's this, oh my gosh, when I go back there and I have more time, this is what I want to do because I'm crazy like that. There's a way for you to hike from the beginning of the cable cars
Oh, very
all
cool.
the way to Lantau Island. And it's a 5 mile one way. So next time what I would do
Wow.
is I would hike it because it's like a very ancient trail. When I was on the cable car looking down, I saw these like steps and these trails, and I was like, what is that?
Interesting.
So I looked on my Google Maps and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a way to hike
Yeah.
it. So yeah, I would do that next time. If you guys have more time, do that, consider it.
Yeah.
So it would be hike there one way and then just take the cable car back down.
I wonder if you have to have a permit to do that.
Oh, that's a good question.
Because if it's like an ancient trail or like a protected monument type
Mhm.
of, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get more info on that later.
Yes, for sure. Definitely gonna try that because you know me and my hikes, I love
Yeah.
that. Love
Would
walking.
would your partner do that with you?
Yeah.
5 miles each way?
You
Or
would
no,
like it,
hike
but
there, 5 miles, hike there, and then cable car back? Or
yeah.
okay. Okay, I thought you were going to try to do 10 miles.
Oh, no. Because it's part of the experience. That's what I always say. That's how I get people. Part of the experience, guys.
5 miles in the heat, part of the experience.
Yeah. But for sure, try and do it, if you're staying there, because you don't want to have like all your carry-ons with you. But yeah, it was amazing. I really hope everybody get a chance to either do the itinerary that I did, that's 7 hours, or really like dive even more into it. Like I said, 7 hours, $30. Ba-boom, baby.
There we have it.
Yes.
7 hours in Hong Kong.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. If you love travel as much as we do, hit subscribe on our YouTube channel, as well as anywhere you listen to podcasts such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Pocket Casts. Thank you all for your support so far. When you have the time, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We love to hear your thoughts and feedback, and it'll help others come across our episodes and hopefully be inspired to travel and adventure anywhere.